All right, everybody, we are happy to have you here back in Grupo Fania YouTube channel. Today, we are delighted. We have the privilege to have with us one person very recognized worldwide that we are honored to have her in our program today. With us, we have Dr. Jill Farrant. Dr. Farrant is a biologist, cytologist, and has a PhD in science. She currently works at the University of Cape Town in South Africa at the South African Department of Science and Innovation, National Research Foundation Research Chair in the Department of Molecular and Cell Biology. Dr. Farrant was the African Arab States recipient of the 2012 L'Oreal UNESCO Award for Women in Science, one of only 5 scientists worldwide who were selected by this international jury of researchers who will have a major impact on society and help light the way for the future. In 2009, she was awarded an A rating by the National Research Foundation, the very first female researchers at UCT ever to receive such a rating, as well as being made a member of the UCT College of Fellows. Dr. Farrant has a very important findings on the cellular and genetic behavior of resurrection plants. Such research could hold the key to solving issues as complex as starvation and prolonged droughts in crops in desert areas. Once again, we are delighted. We are honored to have you, Dr. Farrant, in our channel. How are you today? Welcome to our channel.
Thank you, and what a wonderful welcome. Thank you so much. You're very gracious introduction to who I am. It's lovely to talk to you.
Very well deserved. Doctor, at the moment, there are only 135 plants that can be called the resurrection out of a variety of millions of plants, apart from the tolerance that the desiccation that they present. And we want to ask you, are there other characteristics that distinguish them? Are there similarities of a generic relationship between them?
You know, I think the only thing that really, well, the binding thing that makes them together is that they can all lose all of their water and not die. Most of them can survive extreme temperature. So those that occur in the northern hemisphere, where you guys are in Bulgaria, they can survive freezing temperatures. And in Africa, they can survive extreme heat. And it's just the nature of the fact that if you don't have a lot of water in you, you can't really freeze. So other thing that makes us sort of note them is that they occur in environments where there will be water, but not frequently. Mostly rocky, arid environments. Rain will come maybe every 2 months. Maybe there's a whole period where there's no rain. So that's the way we identify them. And as I say, they're very resilient to losing all their water.
Oh, we see. Doctor, we also would like to know, up until this moment, what is known at the genetic and cellular level of these reviving plants, and what is the current state of your research on resurrection plants?
Understanding vegetative desiccation tolerance is a very complex exercise. And I think as a point that I was going to also make earlier is that there is something common between all of them, not just that they can tolerate water, but in the genes that they use. So they all seem to use a key set of genes which are very similar to genes that we find in dry seeds. So there's that core similarity amongst all of these 135 species, but every single one of them, every species, and certainly every genus, has taken on a whole lot of other characteristics which makes them unique. So it's been postulated that this trait has evolved 13 times in our angiosperms. So that means that although they all do the same thing, they don't all do it the same way. And in my research, I've tried to understand how each how different resurrection plants tolerate the water loss, but using a model for a crop that I want to ultimately make drought tolerant. So I use a monocot resurrection plant to make a monocot crop like maize or wheat or rice more drought tolerant. I don't know if that's what you were. I know I've gone off track, and I hope I have still answered some of your questions. But I think the big thing that they all face out there is oxidative damage.
Okay.
And the nice thing that they all tend to do, one of the common things that they all tend to do, is make a lot of antioxidants. And I think this is why they're powerful in skincare.
Interesting. What could you tell us about resurrection plants and whether they might hold the key to eradicating hunger on the planet?
As I've just said, the fact that they can lose water and not die is something that very few things on this planet can do. Most of us, humans, animals, insects, will die if we lose the smallest amount of water. And because of climate change, we are going to have to find ways of growing crops where extended drought happens and where inevitably some water loss in our crops is going to happen, which means they're going to die. And so one of the things that I've been trying to do is to make crops more tolerant of that water loss. It doesn't mean to say their yield goes up, but they won't die at a very high or early stage in the drought. So that's one way. And then the other way I've been looking at how these plants can help us make drought tolerant crops for the future is, if you look at the roots level, there are a lot of fungi and bacteria that co-associate with the plant and actually help the plant to tolerate the extreme stresses. So what I'm trying to do is to understand which bacteria and which fungi are there. Are they helping the plant cope with drought? And if so, can I use that as a biostimulant when you plant your maize, your corn, your rye, you put a handful of these bugs with your corn, and they bioprime the seed. A preliminary result shows that they make much better roots and tolerate drought a whole lot better. So I've been trying to use these amazing plants to understand every little way that I could to be able to have food security in the future when there is less rain.
Could they be the key to eternal youth? If there is such a thing.
If there is such a thing.
Yes.
I think on a really sort of going out there philosophical level, if we could actually make ourselves desiccation tolerant, then we could be frozen because there's not enough water for us to actually freeze and get freeze damage. But in terms of taking it back to eternal youth, and we want to just keep it maybe at the human level rather than at the plant level, what they do very cleverly is keep themselves in a very protected state under stress. And by taking the molecules that they make to protect themselves, it has been shown a number of times that those same molecules act as very good medicinal actives. So not just on the skin, but certain of our resurrection plants, if you drink them, it's meant to appear to give you more vitality and more energy. And so I think, drawing the parallel, they certainly have secrets that can be utilized in the future to not get eternal youth, but to delay aging. How's that?
We will be delightful to see.